Good night. Have one done today. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Simon J. Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a little a word on tonight. Now, Joseph. Joseph was in a situation where he didn't know where his this time was gonna end. Because he gives his brother now. He told his brother now to listen to his dream, and then they hated him just for that because he was gifted. And they start plotting. Put him in a pit. And then we got the pit that sold him. And then after they sold him, then the wife, she lied. And so he left his coat with her, and he ran out. And she kept that for evidence and sent him to jail. So Joseph, and I be thinking about my situation. Joseph done went through something, but guess what? He still end up, and won at the end. Because the dream he had, God gave him just that dream. God said he was going to be kings. He was a king. So now Joseph's brother hated him because there was his father loved him. He loved him more. And then his father had made him a robe that was special made for him. And the brother was mad. So then and then Joseph had two dreams. His brother had said they're not having Joseph ruler over them. That was his first dream. And then his other dream, the sun and the moon, and they bow down to him. So he said, "What you think we're gonna bow down to you?" And so now his brother hate him. The brother hate him because the father loved him more, made a robe, special made for him. He had dreams, and so God give him a gift, because he the promised child. The promised child. You know, um, Jacob. So Jacob had the promised child. Jacob really was supposed to do it, pass it on to Joseph. And he just excited. He excited. He's 17 years old. He excited that he got gifts. Want his brother to listen to. Now his brother hated him because he trying to see how, they will harm him. Harm his brother. They're trying to see how they gonna harm his brother because he's telling him dreams, and he telling him, about his father. His father did the public, show him his robe and stuff. So when Joseph looking for his brother, Joseph arrived at the scene. Now Joseph arrived alone at the camp. Now see, he loved his brothers, but his brothers don't love him back like he do. His brothers very far from him, from his home. Now that they have opportunity, they're in the field, so they figure like this is the opportunity. Let's get him. Joseph found his brothers. Then the brothers, he loved his brothers. But then they hated him. And so but they saw him. They saw him for a distance. Saw him for a distance, and then before he had reached them, they plotted to kill him. Before Joseph can get to them, they up there plotting on their own brother. And they see their brothers, still to them, loving their brother, asking where he gone, they still plotting to kill, because he is special. He is special and he different. Here come the dreamer. Don't criticize it. Here come the dreamer. That's jealousy. So come now, let's kill him and throw him into the pit. Now this censer here, don't have no water, anything in it. So they throw him in that censer, and nobody come and get him. He'll just be dead. Don't have no water, nothing to drink. And they're talking about, they know Jacob, that's his favorite child. They're going to tell him that the animal ate him up. So Joseph dreamed in love for his love his from his own father, and his brother killed him. His own brother wants to kill him. Because see, jealousy take it to a whole nother level, no matter who you is. The jealousy will turn to hate. It turned to want to kill somebody. Jealousy go to a whole nother level. And when his brother Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him, from their hands and let not take his life. So his brother did say, don't take his life. So that's why they decided to throw him in a pit. So their deep jealousy had grown into an ugly rage, but his brother Reuben was trying to stop. And so when Joseph had came to his brother, they stripped him of his robe. They Joseph, their robe was colorful and it was pretty. Threw him into the censer, and then the censer was empty. There was no water in it. So they threw Joseph in a censer, was empty and no water. So when the Maimonites, merchandise had came by, his brother, they pulled Joseph out of the censer and sold him for 20 shekels in silver to the Ammonites, now who took him in Egypt. Now, God had gave him a vision. But he don't know what's going on now. Because the vision is not going to start showing until when his brothers and them enter. It's going to show when he a king and all that, But once he in there, he ain't going to see the vision come into place until he get his job as king. Then his brothers, going to start coming, and they going to buy down. That's when he going to realize, start putting the pieces of his dream together. So Joseph's older brothers have agreed to sell him as a slave to the Ammonites. Now Joseph's brothers throw him in a pit. Now meanwhile, the Ammonites, sold him in Egypt, and then Pharaoh official, the captain of the guard. Now he about to be under Pharaoh. Now Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Now Joseph was well built, and had handsome. So he was well built and handsome, And after a while, the master wife, took a notice of Joseph and said, "Come, go to bed with me." Now Joseph is a righteous man. He always pray to God, and he don't. He always look up to God. Now one day he had went into the house to attend to the duties, and none of the household servants was inside. Now she called him by his coat and said, "Come to bed with me." This is the second time she trying. But he left his coat in her hands, and he ran. He ran out the house so fast. Ran out the house so fast. Now he did the most honorable thing that he could think of. Embarrassment though it might have been. Now he wisely ran away from both temptation. So now the wife had lied, sent him to prison. She's married and she wanted Joseph. And he didn't want her. He ran and left his coat in her hands. And she kept his coat, but she used it for evidence, to lie and have him sent to prison. Now, the brother hated Joseph. Hated Joseph because he was special. He was loved by their father more. The brothers got jealous and plotted to have him thrown in a pit. Now then sold him, to Egypt, to the master wife, and she wanted Joseph, but he said no. That he left his coat in her hands, and he ran out the house. Now it's a lot that Joseph had went through. It's a lot, but he right where God wanted him at. So that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get to, a lot of time. You might go through so much in your storm. You might seem like there's no way out. You might seem like that's the end of the road. Like you're not seeing no light at the tunnel. Georgia just being hit after hit after hit. And remember, he was a young boy. When he got sold. He don't see no way out. It always was his daddy. Daddy pampered him. Spoil him. That's no daddy. That's no mama. That's no brothers. He got to try to figure this out. And it's like his back is against the wall. He's 17 years old when he went up in there. 17 years old. 20 years gonna be in the past. And so he went through a lot. Time to pass. He in prison, thinking that he feel like it's at the end of the road, like that's a dead end, no way out. And like what my brothers got me into, and so his dream never kicked in yet. To why Joseph in jail, Pharaoh had a dream. So Pharaoh called Michigan Magid. He called to interpret the dreams. And he thought, now these Mexicans, they're smart. They're supposed to be smart, but they ain't gonna be able to interpret these dreams. God fixed it where nobody but Joseph was gonna be able to fix these dreams. Now Joseph in prison. He already interpreted on two people's dreams. One was supposed to come out and he said, "Remember me." And one got out. He been out for 2 years, and then didn't even say Joseph's name. Somebody else had to come along and say, "Well, Joseph interpreted our dreams in prison." But they waited 2 years later. God had placed this dream. God placed this dream in Joseph when he was 17 years old and said he gonna be a king. Say he gonna be a king. Now some time passed now since he been in jail. Now that he gonna be a king in charge. And Joseph was in charge because he was the only one can figure out, so he interpreted the dream and sent his way and to let him know Pharaoh is on the way. God gonna send Pharaoh. And nobody gonna be able to do that job but Joseph. Because God promised Joseph that dream. It said that he gonna be a king. So nobody but Joseph able to handle this job. So now Joseph in charge. The dream starting to be fulfilled. God plan is starting to move because after he deal with the job, he in charge. Then he gonna meet his dad that he thought was dead. He gonna meet his brothers. They're gonna come and they ain't gonna be able to recognize him. Joseph gonna know who they is, but they ain't gonna know who Joseph is. Then Pharaoh had said to Joseph, since God had made all this known to you, there is no one, discernment, of in your wife as you. Now you should be in charge of my palace. Now he getting responsibility. He gonna be charged over the palace. He gonna be charged, over Egypt. And Egypt is big, And so you should be in charge of my palace and all my people are to submit to you. So order, only with respect, to the throne will I be greater than you. So God plan is in making. So Joseph right where God want him to be at. He have his job. He in charge. God plan falling in place. So now, his brothers, Jacob brothers, is the one gonna have the nation. They're gonna multiply as nation. Joseph gonna die before they, be a nation. They had already was accumulating a lot because they left at 75, and next thing you know, they're gonna have hundreds and 200, 500. And so Joseph had to endure so much. He had a dream that he would be a king, you know. So, but then he get thrown in a pit, he get sold, he get lied on, and so he got thrown in prison. He went through a lot at a young age. Now his back was against the wall. Now it seemed like the end. That he thought there was an end. He thought there was no light at the time. He dreamed. His dreams start coming together. God placed dreams in Pharaoh, that no one was gonna be able to interpret his dream. So he thought he was not going to make it. That's what he thought. Because so much stuff coming at him. In the pit, lied on, in prison, being sold. He was like, he couldn't even wrap his head around it. It was one thing after another. Now he thought he wasn't going to never see an end of this story. Thought he wasn't going to never see his daddy. And so he thought it was the end for him. But guess what? He still made it. He still made it. He still was he still was a king, just like his dream was. God made him a king, made him a ruler over all the nation. And when his brother come over there, they're gonna bow down just like his dream was. Bow down. So he the king, and his brother gonna bow down when they say they wasn't gonna bow down. Because they don't recognize his brother. But all the said and done, the point I was getting at, that sometimes you're gonna go through so much, but don't never give up. Always have it in your mind that you're gonna make it. See, he kept on praying to God. So much stuff hitting him at one time, back to back. And it's the same with me. But you got to hang on. You got to hang on. And he didn't panic. He didn't get mad with God. He didn't get frustrated. He was still praying to God. He was still praying to God. And so God allowed him to see a light in his situation. God said it's about time. You right what I want you. You in a palm of my hands right now. So let me make my move. So my plan can start coming together. So this the plan with the Israelite. Jacob already living in Canaan. But then he got to go, just like Jacob's dream was when he saw that ladder came down. But you're gonna go, to Egypt, and they're gonna bring you back, bring you back to Canaan. All part of God's dream, all part of God's plan, and so I'm looking up in the camera right there. So he thought he wasn't gonna make it out this storm, but he made it. He made it. So God placed his plan in Joseph's dream. In Joseph's dream. I started off with the wrong one. So that's all I have for you today. That you can be in a long storm, but you just got to keep on holding on. It's gonna look like, you're gonna get sat back. You're gonna see like you're getting sat back and sat back again. Every time you put one foot in front of another, you get back. And he got out the pit. and he thinking things about to get better, you know. And so me with this woman here, then she lied, and then he get thrown in prison in there for so many years for something he have not done. And see, that's the thing. You get accused of something that you have not done. He served so many years in prison. Because nobody looked into the situation. Everybody just believed. He just believed what that woman said because she had his clothes. And then look into the situation. Just took the evidence and like he did it. Let's throw him in there. And he been in there for so many years. But guess what? God said it was time. God said it was time for him to get out. He was still praying. And when God saw that he was not mad, he was not angry, he was not none of that. He just was taking his leg, staying in jail and still praying to God. God said, enough. I see. It's enough. It's about time for you to get out of here. He started putting that dream in Pharaoh. He fixed it where the Mexican they could not answer, interpret those dreams. He want nobody but Joseph to be able to interpret those dreams. Because God know he was sending famine. And he need Joseph to be in charge because he told Joseph, you're gonna be a king. And so that's all I have for today. When he thought it was no way out, God made a way. God made a way. And he still won at the end. And God planned to start putting together. God planned to start putting together. So when you thinking there's no way out, just keep hanging on. Just keep hanging on and keep on praying. Because God made a way for Joseph. God made a way. Because God knew he was the one going to get his stone, get his plan started. Get his plan started. So it's about time to get him out of prison. When he got out of prison, he ain't never went back, because he was in charge. He was the king. So that was it, And so he was right in the palm of God's hand. So even though he had to get thrown in a pit, sometimes we got to go through so much, But then when you right where God wants you at, and you got to still go through something. Joseph, that's why he told his brother, now don't get mad, but God, I'm right where God wanted me to be at. And so as God worked everything out for him, hook his dream. And that's why I say jobs, promotion, all that come from God. God touched people's heart to give you a job, to give you a promotion. So he got his job from God. So that's all I have for you today. Y'all have a nice and blessed day, and I'll see y'all in the next video.